Guys, my name is Sean. I'm a houseplant enthusiast from Jakarta, Indonesia. In today's video, I'm going to be covering misting, and this is going to be the second part in our watering series. If you missed the first one, it's the Watering 101, where I covered the basics of watering your houseplants, and it's a very useful video because a lot of us kill our plants from overwatering, although some of them can be underwater. So feel free to check that video up. I'm going to link that up above. But yeah, in today's video, I've also written down a lot of the pros and cons here because I don't remember every single one of them. I'm not a genius in that sense. But yeah, I gathered my thoughts here, and I'm going to go with the pros, first of all, of misting. Number one, it's definitely enjoyable. That's the more pro. It really feeds my soul. It nourishes me whenever I mist my plants. It makes me feel like I'm the best person, best plant parent in the world because I'm doing something great for the plants. And there's something about misting that just feels really, really good. Just a satisfying feeling of, yeah, getting things done, getting that plant wet and well fed. So that's one of the pros, that it makes you feel good. The second one is that it does help you remove a lot of the dust, dirt, and some of the pests that are on the leaves. Sometimes you do want to hose your plants down, some of the leaves, because you want to knock some of the pests off, or maybe it's just dirty, you just want to clean it off. And the third pros is that there are a lot of epiphytic plants, including your orchids, philodendrons, monsteras, that put out these aerial roots that needs to get their roots wet. If you have aerial roots that are kept too dry, I think you'll notice that they will dry up like a prune really fast, and then they will become benign. The node may become a little bit challenging to propagate later on. Also, when you have plants grown on a moss pole, it really helps if you're misting the moss pole and the roots around that area to kind of let it find a pole and let it root into the pole. So in that sense, misting does help a lot. And the last pros, number 4, is that sometimes we do want to feed our plants. We want to use foliar sprays where we mix our water with a few of the chemical or natural means of sprays. These can include like fish emulsion, kelp, your chemical, which I use to grow more fertilizer. But you can use a lot of different things, or the worm casting tea, and you can spray the leaves. But there's going to be some cons on it, which we're going to talk about later. But yeah, this is one way that you can actually deliver the nutrients, and also pesticides too. A lot of the times when I'm treating my plants for pests, I'm actually mixing my mist bottle, and I'm just misting down or something, hosing down the plant with my neem oil and also my chemical solution. So misting in that sense does help when you have some additives added to it. Now to the cons. Related to what we just talked before, plants can take in a little bit of water and a little bit of nutrients from the leaves, but it's not going to do that in a meaningful or effective way. The best way that you can get a plant hydrated or nourished is through the roots. The plant really is not taking in water and nutrients effectively from the leaves. Unless we're talking about things like maybe certain bromeliads or air plants, for example, they do need to take in nutrients from the air and also from the water, from rainwater and all that stuff, because they don't really have roots that are pretty robust at pulling up nutrients and water. Now, when you mist your plants with water, a lot of the times this is a recipe for bacteria and fungal spores to settle on the plant and to have a party on it. That's why some of the leaves may end up having some bacterial or fungal spots on them, which can also spread. And just so you know, there are fungal spores all over us. We can't really see it, but we actually breathe it in all the time. And if you've noticed, whether you're in the forest or even in my backyard here, there are a lot of ferns that just grow out of nowhere randomly in pots. And this is because their spores are carried by wind. They're just traveling all over the place until the condition is right where they can sprout into ferns in different pots. I can already see from here, maybe they're a little bit, I usually pull them out of my pots, but I do see a little bit of these ferns that are weeds on my plants. So imagine that these are pretty big particles, right? These fern spores, much smaller ones. And imagine if they land on your leaves and they just started to take over and they just rot the leaves and just basically consume it. So you want to prevent that by not having your leaves wet for too long, especially if you have it indoors. However, if you are hosing down your plants, or if it gets rained on, it dries up within 15-20 minutes. That's pretty okay because they don't have that environment where it can thrive. But again, when you have them indoors, never ever miss the leaves. I get so many questions of people with leaves that are affected by fungal spots, bacteria. Those are usually little spots in the middle of the leaves. If you have crispiness at the edge of the leaves, that's usually because of under or overwatering. But if you have little spots in the middle of the leaves, that is definitely due to fungal and bacterial spots. So misting is 99% the cause of that. So if you do have to mist, feel free to mist the aerial roots, but never mist the leaves. Try to avoid it entirely. And another con of misting the leaves is that you sometimes will leave some of these hard water stains on the leaves, whether you have hard water or maybe there are mineral buildups in the water. Or if you just have really dark colored leaves, they're going to leave a water stain on the leaves, and that's just not very nice to look at. If you actually look at your mist bottles, especially after you've used them for a few months, if you just open it and look at the not this one exactly, this is still pretty new. Let me see if I can see it here. This is still fine, but sometimes you can see little algae growing in the components of the mist, and there may be some in here too because I can't see it exactly. So there may be some bacteria, fungal and algae growing in your mist system, or sometimes even in your bottle. These can spread to your plants too. Just be careful. You sometimes really want to wash them. I think one of the best way to wash them, you can either mix a little bit of water and hydrogen peroxide and just have it run, or I think a little bit of vinegar may help as well. So you just kind of have it swirled around in water and vinegar, and then just kind of mist towards like the sink or something, just to make sure that the whole system here is cleaned up a little bit. But yeah, the misting is definitely one way that you can spread a lot of these bacteria and fungal. Sometimes it's just from the bottle itself. We just are not that aware of it. Number 5, sometimes when we mist plants, especially in daylight, the water droplets that are on the leaves can serve as magnifying glass. So if you have a lot of sun beating down on the plant, it will be magnified, it will be zooming in all the light into that one spot, and it'll burn the leaves. So you may end up with these spots that are actually burn marks from the sun. So just be careful. If you do have to water your plants or mist your plants, try to do it in the morning or when the sun is like coming down, maybe when it's not the full midday sun. Number 6, I'm sure that you guys have some challenges misting indoors because they will invariably cause you to make a mess. There's going to be water stains everywhere. So when you're not misting your leaves, you're actually kind of saving yourself the trouble of cleaning up. Number 7, it may be a waste of water when you're misting your leaves because, again, as I mentioned, the water is probably just going to stay there and evaporate eventually, and it's not going to be taken in meaningfully by the plant. So you're really saving yourself some water by just watering the plant in the soil level and just let the roots take in the water that way. Now a lot of you guys are thinking, what about humidity? We're just misting for humidity. Well, when you mist the leaves, it's actually only going to increase the humidity around the plant for, I don't know, maybe 10 or 15 minutes because the water is going to go away. It's going to be blown away by the air. It's not really effectively going to increase humidity for a considerable amount. If you must raise humidity for certain plants, I actually recommend either having them in a greenhouse. You can have one of those IKEA greenhouse cabinets, or you can actually group your plants. That is one way that you can have an ambient humidity within the group of plants, because the moisture is actually coming from the potting mix of the plants. So a lot of the plants that I notice are humidity loving do love to be grouped. I see a massive difference. Another way that you can do it is the pebble tray method, which is just basically having your pots sit in like a pebble tray that is filled up with water, and make sure that water doesn't cover the pot, because you don't want water to be wicked up by the plant, overwatering the plant. You just want there to be ambient humidity around the plant. So this is definitely one way that you can keep your plants humid for the long term. So now, to summarize everything, basically a lot of the fungal and bacterial problems that a lot of people are experiencing with their leaf are caused by misting. So please stop misting your leaves unless you're misting the aerial roots, which they actually do really appreciate. And yeah, I guess that's it. This is the shortest video ever. Don't miss your leaves, especially indoors. If it's outdoors, sometimes when I water my plants, I do get the leaves wet by accident when I'm hosing them down, but I don't aim at the leaves, and they do dry out within 10 to 15 minutes. So I hope that this video helps. Yeah, yes, I'm at Botanist on Instagram if you want to DM me on any questions regarding plant care and propagations. I'll try my best to get back to you. Meanwhile, do take care and stay safe. I will see you in the next video. Bye.